Hold on just a second. Just last week, people were telling me that Brave New World's opening weekend box office proved that a lot of people are in love with the idea that Sam Wilson is the new Captain America. Just last week, I had people coming to me saying that I don't understand how the box office works, and that I'm just spreading false information because I want this movie to fail for some reason. At the end of the day, it does not make one bit of difference whether this movie succeeds or fails to me, because I'm not seeing any of that money anyway. What I do know is that men lie, women lie, but numbers certainly do not. And what the numbers last week were telling me, and what the numbers this week are telling me, is that general audiences do not give a shit about this movie, and no amount of deflection is going to change that. Let's discuss.
Our content sucks. Our content sucks.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So Captain America Brave New World has now been out for 2 weekends, and to the surprise of absolutely no one, it is continuing to underperform. Now, of course, we still have some media outlets trying to spin the numbers into a positive, but we know the truth, don't we? The truth is that all of the signs were there if you were willing to take off the blinders and see them for yourself. You see, a lot of people currently live in these social media fantasy worlds where they accumulate a small following of people who act and think the same way that they do. So everything that they say and every opinion that they share is then validated by these people. And this gives them the impression that the rest of the world feels the exact same way.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
These are the type of people who say things like, I don't understand why this movie is underperforming. Everybody that I know is talking about it. No, the people you are following and your followers are talking about it. The rest of the people on the planet who you naively dismiss as haters are thinking for themselves and seeing for what it actually is. Do not let Deadpool and Wolverine or Spider-Man No Way Home fool you. The MCU has been on a downward spiral since Endgame. And that has everything to do with the quality of the content being presented to audiences and not the audiences themselves. The truth is that Marvel is not offering anything new, and audiences recognize that, hence where superhero fatigue comes from. It turns out that general audiences, unlike fanboys, are a little bit smarter than Disney Marvel gave them credit for being. It turns out you cannot slap a recognizable name or mantle on just any character, and people are just going to accept it no matter what.
Absolutely f***ing not.
And this has been one of Marvel's biggest mistakes since Endgame. They thought that they could just continue on business as usual. They thought they could just plug in some new actors and some new characters and nothing was going to change. But that's not the way it works. People forget that movies like Endgame were a culmination of years of these characters being built up and audiences developing a relationship with them. Did you really think you were going to inspire the same type of reaction with movies like Brave New World? When you make movies like The Eternals or awful Disney Plus shows required viewing to understand what is going on, that is a recipe for disaster. Some people have a life, some people have standards, and do not want to subject themselves to a forced character arc in a show that they have no interest in watching to begin with.
Don't waste my motherfucking time!
Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige thought that they could slap the Marvel logo over any project and it would keep audiences interested. But they were wrong. This article comes from The Wrap, which says, quote, Captain America Brave New World sinks to $28 million in its second week at the box office. The Marvel film drops 68%. Disney Marvel Studios' Captain America Brave New World is proving to be as front-loaded as its mediocre opening weekend reception suggested it might be, as industry estimates have the film earning $28 million in its second frame. Should that hold, it would represent a 68% drop from its $88 million three-day opening weekend, and would be slightly below the $31.9 million second weekend for Quantumania. With an estimated 10-day domestic total of $147 million, Brave New World is now on pace to finish with less than $200 million if it continues to drop at this pace.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
How can you see numbers like this and not come to the conclusion that Marvel is having some serious issues? This article basically laid out exactly what I said last week, proving me right, and yet still people will come to me and say that it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. They'll just tell me that I have an agenda against this movie and I wanted it to fail from the beginning. No, what I actually want is for Marvel to make better movies. What I want is for Marvel Studios to come to the conclusion that making content for a small vocal minority of people on the internet is not sustainable. Because those people will tell them they are doing a good job no matter what they put out. But what are general audiences telling you by not supporting this movie? They are telling you that it's not working. They are telling you that changes need to be made. This is not about feelings. This is about facts. This is about numbers.
It's true.
You can try to convince everyone in your social media fantasy world that everyone loves Sam Wilson as Captain America all you want. But what's going on in the real world tells a very different story now, doesn't it? And people get mad at me for saying this shit out loud, but it's the God's honest truth, and even the people who do not want to admit it know that I'm right. It is simply not working. Marvel Studios has lost their way, and there is absolutely nobody to blame for this but the people who are in charge of making this content. Period. Deadpool co-creator Rob Liefeld had a very interesting take when it comes to these abysmal box office numbers. He proclaimed in a recent social media post that it's time to, quote, get Feige off the mound he's spent. Now, this is coming off the heels of Liefeld going very public with the accusations that Feige and Marvel Studios are not kind to the original comic book creators, which wasn't the least bit surprising to me if you consider Disney's track record and you consider the fact that the MCU isn't exactly comic accurate in most instances. But putting his personal beef to the side, I do think that he is presenting a very interesting idea here, and it's something that everyone should consider. Ask yourself, given recent events, is Kevin Feige still the best person to be running Marvel Studios moving forward?
No, 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 no! Hell no!
Now, I understand that he built the MCU into what it once was, and he deserves all the credit in the world for that. But sooner or later, everyone's time comes to an end. It's like when a sports coach stays with the same team for too long. Their philosophy just does not resonate with the team or the fans like it used to. Sometimes change is a good thing, sometimes a fresh perspective is necessary, and if there's anything that Marvel Studios needs right now, it's a fresh perspective. The product has gotten so stale that people no longer feel the obligation to support it anymore like they once did. And Kevin Feige, whether you want to admit it or not, is the root of that problem because everything Marvel Studios runs through him.
That makes sense.
You can only allow him to coast by based on his past success story for so long before you have to start asking the question, what have you done for me lately? And when it comes to Feige, if we're being honest with ourselves, the answer is not much. I want Marvel to be better. I want to feel that excitement again when I go to watch one of these movies, and I just don't think that's ever going to happen with Kevin Feige in charge. He's too stuck in his ways. He is too convinced that he knows what is better for this brand than the fans do. But unfortunately for him, a lot of his recent efforts, including Brave New World, say something otherwise.
Y'all be cool. Right on.